Hey friends, welcome back to the Elevated Dose. This is the fifth bonus episode in our January series, and today we're talking about habits. Not morning routines, not habit stacking, not color-coded checklists that look great for about a week. We're talking about why habits are where we internalize the most shame. Because when habits don't stick, we don't say, this system wasn't designed for my life. We say, what's wrong with me? And that question quietly erodes trust, motivation, and self respect over time. So, today I want to talk about what elevated habits actually are, why intensity keeps sabotaging consistency, and how real life survivability is the only metric that matters. Most habits are designed for an ideal version of us, the version who sleeps well every night, wakes up with energy, has predictable schedules, isn't managing chronic stress, illness, or caregiving, and doesn't hit emotional or physical walls. That version of us might exist occasionally, but it's not who we live as day to day. When habits are built for ideal conditions, they collapse the moment real life shows up. A bad night of sleep, a stressful work week, a flare day, travel, emotional exhaustion. And when that happens, we assume the habit failed because we failed. That's backwards. Intensity feels productive. It creates momentum. It delivers quick wins. It looks impressive. But intensity is fragile. It requires high energy, high motivation, high capacity, and low interruption. That combination is extremely rare. Elevated lives are not built on what works at your best. They're built on what works when we're tired, overwhelmed, distracted, or hurting. Intensity asks, how much can I do? Elevation asks, what can I repeat? That distinction changes everything. Stress doesn't just reduce willpower, it changes physiology. When stress is high, executive function drops, decision fatigue increases, recovery slows, tolerance for friction decreases. So habits that rely on constant effort or decision making fail under stress. That's not weakness, that's biology. Elevated habits account for stress instead of pretending it won't exist. One of the most harmful narratives around habits is that they reveal character. You're disciplined or you're not. You're consistent or you're flaky. That framing ignores reality. Habits are a system, and systems require support behavior or you fight it. If a habit requires motivation every day, consistent decision making, perfect timing, emotional regulation or demand, it's not elevated, it's over engineered. Elevated habits share a few key traits. They are low friction, flexible, repeatable, and forgiving. We're not talking 75 hard here. We don't require perfection. We don't collapse after one missed day. They don't punish you for being human. Elevated habits are boring on purpose. They trade excitement for reliability, and reliability is where change actually happens. For a long time, I chased good habits, perfect routines, ambitious plans, all or nothing consistency. And every time life got in the way, I felt like I had to start over. What changed wasn't my desire to be consistent. It was how I defined success. When elevated became my word, habits had to survive real life. That meant asking, would this still work on my worst week? Would this still feel supportive on a flare day? Would I still do this if no one was watching? If the answer was no, the habit didn't make the cut. One of the most important shifts we can make is building habits that scale. Scale up on good days and scale down on hard days. Movement that can be 5 minutes or 40. Meals that don't require perfect planning. Routines that don't collapse if one step gets skipped. Elevated habits don't disappear when capacity drops. They adapt. People here start small and think it means aim low. That's not what it means at all. It means start at a size that's survivable. A habit that survives creates trust. Trust creates consistency. Consistency creates change. Starting too big breaks that change. That's why habit stacking works because you start small and build. Habits shape identity. but only if they last. When habits are constantly abandoned, we internalize a story. I can't stick with things. Elevated habits rewrite that narrative. They create evidence. I show up even when it's hard. I adapt instead of quit. I don't disappear when conditions aren't perfect. That identity shift is powerful. Unpredictable demands create stress. Predictable, flexible habits create safety. When habits are kind to your capacity, your nervous system relaxes. And when your nervous system feels safe, follow through increases. Again, not because of discipline, but because of design. If someone listening wants to evaluate their habits, here's the real test. Ask yourself, does this habit support me or pressure me? Does it survive stress or collapse under it? Does it build trust or resentment? Resentment is a signal. If a habit makes you dread your day, something is off. An intentional life isn't built on heroic effort. It's built on what repeats quietly. Elevated lives are shaped by habits that fit inside real days, survive bad weeks, and don't require constant renegotiation. That's not lazy, that's sustainable. If habits have been a source of frustration for you, I want you to hear this. You don't need more intensity. You don't need better motivation. You don't need to become a different person. You need habits that survive real life. Elevated habits don't ask you to be perfect. They ask you to keep showing up. And that's where the real change lives.